Ravel's Bolero, written in 1928, was a major factor in that reputation. Within a very short time it became the composer's most popular work. Ravel himself had misgivings about its success. He saw the Bolero as an experiment in a very specific and limited direction. To his fellow composer Arthur Honegger, he said,
"I have only written one masterpiece, the Bolero. Unfortunately, there is no music in it."
The Bolero is four things and four things only. The Bolero is a rhythm, which we all know. It is a tune, which we all know. It is a huge, great crescendo. And it is the modulation at the end into E major, from a 15 minutes of C major and then a moment of E major and then a collapse. So it's just those things. None of this would work if we didn't have this transformation of the sound of the tune. Not the tune itself, it never ever does anything but itself, repeated endlessly, as it were. But the orchestration of it is what makes your hair stand on end, and the very, very straightforward crescendo. But that's part of the orchestration, of course. The way Ravel handles that crescendo is not just asking the instrumentalist to play louder. He's adding instruments. He's thickening instruments. He's allowing the instruments to go to the limit of what they can do.
The first thing we hear is the world-famous ground rhythm of the piece, all on its own. Apart from the very end of the work, the side drum repeats these two bars incessantly throughout.
We hear the beats very, very strongly. So let's just do it once again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, the famous bit. The third beat in the second bar is a collection of triplets. I don't know why that should be the famous bit, but that's the bit that gives it its propulsion, really. If Ravel had just written this, maybe we would accuse him of monotony. Imagine that. We'd live with it for a bit, but it's that propulsion which is so wonderful about the rhythm.
The rhythm of the Bolero is reminiscent of Spanish castanets.
But it's also the clicking of the heels of the flamenco dancers, that wonderful, proud, rather sexy stance, and they do wonderful tap dancing. And also it's clapping. It's the palmas. It's that wonderful syncopated clapping that flamenco musicians do.
Ravel referred to Spain as his second musical home. His knowledge of Spanish folk music came not least from his Basque mother, Marie de Loire. It was in her native town of Zibour, on the French-Spanish frontier, that he was born on the 7th of March 1875. When he was 3 months old, his mother moved with him to Paris, where he lived until his death. His father, Pierre-Joseph Ravel, an engineer and inventor, was interested in art and encouraged his son's musical gifts. Ravel studied music at the Paris Conservatory, where, in 1897, he was admitted to Gabriel Fauré's illustrious composition class. Ravel constantly emphasized his Basque roots. His affinity with Spanish music, such as the flamenco, makes itself felt in many of his compositions, including the bolero. On its melodic substance, Ravel remarked dryly,
The themes are impersonal, folk melodies in the customary Spanish Arab manner.
The theme of the bolero dominates almost the entire piece and is very subtly attuned to the underlying rhythm.
It's a wonderful tune. I don't think it would have come to Ravel that easily. He was a meticulous craftsman and he worked and worked at his music to get it absolutely as he wanted. So I imagine he would have worked at this because it is so superbly crafted for the very need that it has of not being in kilter with the very strong two-bar rhythm underneath it. It begins regularly. We can hear the 3 in it. We get 1, 2, 3, 1. That's very obvious. What happens now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. We couldn't possibly go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which is how it's barred. So he only gives us 1 regular bar of 3, and then he writes the melody in 4. And that is his process. He is forever breaking up the melody so that it doesn't come down strongly on the beat.